An inconsequential sort of day. One of the artificers accidentally released a pack of tiny spider-like automatons, and the entire lower deck had to be evacuated. An undercook oversalted the porridge, causing rumbles of discontent. What a pleasure it would be to ascribe meaning to these signs, but I fear they meant nothing at all. But I'm fairly certain we've done a whole bunch of preparations to prevent catastrophe. I hope. Today, I poked my head into the navigation room, just to say hello. The pilot was, as usual, in the midst of a blazing row with the chief navigator. Shall I bring pie? Because they threw pies at each other earlier. Has something happened? We are 2.5 degrees off course. Again. The chief navigator ground her teeth audibly. This never happens to me. Of course not, the pilot snarled. Because you're perfect, aren't you, Camilla? So it is definitely sabotage? I cut in, hoping to defuse the argument. It is not definitely anything. The instruments are unreliable, this close to the pole. The chief navigator looked ready to rip a throat out. You think I haven't accounted for magnetic interference? You swine! I stepped between them and didn't notice the chief navigator throw a punch at the pilot until too late. I sprawled to the floor, dazed and shaken. My God, the chief navigator's face was pallid with horror. Tiny bit of a mistake here, I guess. My God, I'm so sorry. Are you all right? Oh, fine. I attempted a stoic smile, but winced, ruining the effect. After a flood of apologies, I let her take me back to my cabin. Oh, we can converse. With whom? Missy Jokinen. That's the love interest. Talk about the North Pole. North Pole to... Gastown? You're enjoying the Ice Walker, I hope? Yeah, sure, it's a fast one. Let's talk about... Irkutsk? Let's talk about Omsk? Didn't get to talk too much, but that's okay. Oh boy, what now? Uh-oh. Now things might not be going so well anymore. Disaster has struck. So cold. The Ice Walker has been destroyed. Uh-oh. Monsieur Fogg is still alive, but only barely. We have little hope of rescue and few supplies. Uh-oh. He went down to half health, by the way. He's now at 50%. 50 health. It seems certain we will die here. Only not yet. There is too much to do. Uh-oh. What's gone wrong? And we can still talk. Of course, we're gonna deal with his shaving kit and the wool shirts and the trousers, because all that stuff will increase his health, so it's now up to 58 points. What went wrong, I wonder? I have gained a little warmth in my fingers, but putting them into compacted snow enough to write. On the Ice Walker, nobody knows what happened. Disaster struck in the middle of the night. The artificers blame boiler explosions and cascade reactions. The Pomor crew suspects vengeful whales and bloodied spirits. The endless, pointless debate on the matter is distracting. Though heaven knows we need distractions. What of Viti Jokinen's fail-safes? They activated, saving us, a series of pneumatic escape tubes that shot us and pieces of equipment, crates, suitcases, all hurtling as far from the sinking wreck as possible. He had done his best, and I was grateful for that. But Viti seems to feel responsible for our situation and has lapsed into dark, brooding silences as he looks around our cobbled-together camp, or at our ever-dwindling stock of food. I can write no more. Too cold. We're on the ice, because this thing blew up. Groom fog as much as possible. Thank you for trying, Passepartout. Madame Juho glared up into the sky, muttered, "Bugger this," strapped on her snowshoes, and began walking out into the whiteness. I called after her, but she did not look back. I looked around at the thinned, ice-rimed faces of the other survivors and wondered how long it would be before another one of us gave up. Simply gave up and walked out into the snow. I swore it would not be me, and held that promise close to my chest, and fooled myself that it warmed me. I looked down at my master's too pale and shivering form, and tried desperately to think of how I could help him. So here's the thing. So, because, one, we talked to the hunters, that is an option. Because I bribed the navigator, that's an option. Because we made the chief navigator punch us in the face, that's an option. And because we had the stowaway, we had that option. So basically, you have options to keep Fog alive, because we made friends. That's why I did all that kind of weird stuff. Let's start with the downed hot air balloon. I saw the downed hot air balloon in the distance, and trekked over to it, despite the incredulous looks of the other expeditioneers. Monsieur Andre was waiting for me when I drew near. "Did you see what caused the wreck?" I demanded, but he only shook his head. "It wasn't my doing, if that's what you mean," he replied. "I have not lost my mind quite yet." I explained my master's situation. "Please." My voice deserted me. I did not think just then that I could have said anything else. The artificer handed me a few sealed tins. "Don't let the others see. They will be curious." I very deliberately thanked him, and then thanked him again, if only in my mind, as I spooned congealed broth into my master's mouth. His health is now up a little bit again. Because this is the challenge. Keeping Fog alive. The sky was ablaze when I awoke. Spectacular streamers of emerald green and bruise purple and flush pink. The aurora borealis, a nearby artificer whispered in awe. "It is magnificent." It seemed to me as though the sky itself was giving us hope. Painted in coruscating colors across the horizon, it seems that the prospect of death makes me sentimental. Come on, Fog, stay alive. He's now up to 68 points of health. I no longer truly remember what it is like to be warm. Perhaps I have never truly been so. The memories seem so fragile. They spin away like dust, like snow. There has only ever been this. Cold that has not enough mercy to numb. Wind that howls like a pack of wolves on the hunt. Day 27. I thought of Mama yesterday, of Mama today. Her strength as she picked me up and flung me in the air. The surety I had that she would catch me once more. I wonder what she would do, tossed out into this stark and barren landscape. Would she grind her fists into her... No. Would she start to walk in any direction her feet could lead? And would she find water and try to swim? Mama, if by some strange and wild chance you should come to read this... Tell any other children you meet to avoid valeting. Nah. Do not weep for your son. I have seen so much. I have done so much. I cannot bring myself to regret even this. Think of me with love, as I am thinking of you now in this endless Arctic night. Once more, I sought to aid my master. I asked Monsieur Mezensky to help me, and he offered me a thick fur from the Pomor bags. Keep Fog warm, he said roughly. It will help. Thank you, I whispered. Thank you. He gave me a short nod, and I stumbled back to our makeshift camp to tend my master. Gotta keep him alive. Monsieur Fogg nearly lost 3 toes to frostbite. I have not been careful enough. I was not conscientious enough. The medic caught it in time, and he will not lose them. Small victories, but I will take them, each and every one. While I still had strength, I was determined to provide succor to Monsieur Fogg. The apprentice navigator I had once bribed beckoned me closer, pressing a vial of thick tonic into my hands. It'll help your master heal, he said. Take it. Thank you, I said fervently, too desperate to look a gift horse in the tonic. It seemed kindness was to be found even at the edges of the world, past the point of human endurance. 72 points of health now. So if you come into this one without the right equipment and without getting these guys to be your friend, you're going to be very hard pressed to keep Fogg alive. And if you want to kill Fogg, this is the way to do it. Just saying. Because I do believe there's an achievement for killing Fogg. Monsieur Fogg and I have been sleeping curled against each other since the disaster. I tried desperately to press some small warmth into his body. He is unconscious and then delirious. His lucid moments only underscore the wrongness of his delirium. If we survive, I will be satisfied only to see him raise his left eyebrow and comment upon the temperature of the tea. Tend to Fog again. Perhaps a touch more heat, my man. There is a strange black streak across the horizon. I can hear the others murmur. An airship, but I do not believe them. I cannot. A collective hallucination from people driven beyond hope, beyond reason, beyond bearing. I could not truly believe until I saw Madame Juho standing on the deck. That's the one who went away earlier. Need a ride? She shouts, her voice familiar and mocking, and I turned to Monsieur Fogg and smiled. We are saved. It's a long trip, yes, Vaughnet, but it's worth it, isn't it? What did you say so? I cannot feel my toes. So, to say what happened then. The injured, Monsieur Fogg included, were whisked away by the medics. We were wrapped in blankets and brisk efficiency and given steaming cups of broth. Madame Juho stood with an older man in a blue Sami Gakti. Sami Gakti, I can't even pronounce that correctly, I'm afraid. And reindeer fur coat, their silhouettes framed by the observation windows. You saved us, I said. Thank you. The man made a disgusted sound. If Raija had done her duty correctly, you would not be here. Ah, the plot thickens. Duty? What duty? I looked between them, feeling a deep sense of unease. I was supposed to make sure that the expedition did not make it to the North Pole, Madame Juho responded evenly, fingering her copper lily brooch. I adjusted the instruments to push us off course, but I had nothing to do with the wreck. Why would you betray the artificers? She looked uncomfortable. I have other allegiances that come first, to my people and family. All of which is moot, Juho, the man interjected, as you have failed resoundingly. I could not let them die out there, she replied, sounding uncharacteristically chastened. And I applaud that decision, madame. I declared weakly, as I cast a glare at the older man, and Madame Juho laughed desultorily. Passepartout, she stiffened. This is my father, Ivor Juho, Sami representative to the Council of Circumpolar Northern Peoples. Yeah, the Council of Circumpolar Northern Peoples. Madame Juho looked out of the window and took a breath. We have arrived. Arrived where? I asked, but she merely pointed. A city rose up out of the pale mist and ice, an alchemical dream of glass and copper and bone. Here and there impossibly lush tangles of trees and shrubs grew, under domes of glittering ice-rimed glass. Interconnected tents of reindeer skin and carved whale's bone-lined snow-packed streets. Frozen rivers were arched with delicate bridges of copper and zinc. The heart of the city, a vast towering structure of steam boilers and copper pipes. Welcome to the North Pole, Madame Juho said, subdued, to the sacred city of, oh good lord, Qausutaq, something like that. So yeah, if this sounds very familiar if you played Frostpunk. I must say that. It sounds very familiar. I'm almost tempted to ask the Frostpunk team if they got their game ID from this storyline. But that would be rude. Anyways, we are now in the city of Qausutaq at the North Pole. We made it! Kind of. Let's explore the North Pole. This, then, is the North Pole. It is a city with streets of carved ice, filled with a mixture of Arctic peoples. Many Sami, but also Siberian Nenets, tattooed Yupiks, and Netsiliks, Alaskan Inupiats, and even Buryats and Khanty. We disembarked in a hobbling procession, led by Monsieur Juho. People watched us as we passed, suspicion and fear in their faces. I smiled and nodded assiduously, hoping to reassure. Soon enough, a few enterprising Nenet children slipped their parents' grips and walked alongside us, chattering. It is not personal, Madame Juho put a hand on my elbow. You are the first outsiders to set foot here since the city's founding. A privilege, I answered. You mean you are thankful to be alive? Well, you are quite right, she said grimly. I had to beg my father to let you come. I heard the bitterness of old hurts and congealed resentments in her voice. It seemed her relationship with her people, her family, was not so simple as to be easily encompassed under the word duty. Will you be in much trouble? Madame Juho's expression was unreadable. We will tend to the injured and let you rest. Tomorrow, most likely, you will be called to the council. For judgment? I asked, half-jokingly. At least, that was what I told myself. She only set her mouth into a thin line and led us silently to the low-roofed tent hung with carved walrus tusk and polished antlers, no doubt hastily cleared for our arrival. No matter. At least we are alive. Indeed we are. And now Fogg is almost at 100% health again, so we did a good job. We kept him alive. I don't think he actually dropped below 40%, 40 points of health, so we did really good. I claimed a bed heaped with furs and blankets, and after being chased from Monsieur Fogg's bedside by a sharp-tongued doctor, I sought out Madame Juho for more answers. I was not the only one to have this idea. She was in the midst of a heated argument with the chief navigator. I hung back for a moment to listen. I thought we were colleagues, friends, the chief navigator stormed. You interfered with my instruments. I had a compelling reason, Madame Juho replied shortly. I found my shoulders hunching defensively. What reason? I demanded. What is your mission in amongst the artificers like that? It was not to murder you. Her dark hair flew about her face. The world is not so simple. I will not let you cast me as a villain. Then what are you? The rage dissipated, leaving her face empty and ravaged. I am trying to live my life the best that I can in the circumstances I was born into. You see how strange those circumstances are, hiding up here like thieves in an attic. We are more than our circumstances. I set my jaw. We can choose new paths, make them if necessary. Sometimes each choice is a sacrifice, and all you can decide is what to lose, Madame Juho shuddered. I pulled her into an impulsive embrace. She sobbed once, harsh and terrible, before scrubbing her hands over her face and fleeing wordlessly into the night. Okay, so you have to sleep again. The council met against the towering steam boilers in the heart of the city, both literal and figurative. 15 men and women sat in simple chairs of sinew and fur, drawing their authority from the technological marvel which they commanded. The survivors of the expedition were gathered, and I saw familiar faces among them, the chief engineer and pilot jostling, Monsieur Mesensky and his Pomor hunters, glaring and gaping in equal measure. At the back, Monsieur André, who had reluctantly revealed himself to an irate Madame Juho. Oh my. Communal judgment, or do we just stick with Fogg? I stood with them. It was not good practice to stand against the Artificers Guild, and I hoped some of their immunity would extend to my person and my master. Monsieur Juho stood, and silence rippled out. He spoke a commanding sentence in... Was that Turkish? The artificers nodded, apparently conversant in the tongue. Despite their largely Nordic origins, I peered at them in bafflement. Madame Juho elbowed me sharply. Pay attention, she hissed. I don't speak Turkish, I hissed back, with a little elbowing of my own. Madame Juho translated the councillor's words. Kaisuituk was founded for one purpose, for the circumpolar peoples to learn and develop the technologies of steam and oil and automata, to make them our own before they destroy our homes, our culture, our way of life. A grand plan, I murmured admiringly. A clever plan. We have seen what has happened to the Native Americans, to the First Peoples, to the Kazakhs and Buryats. Madame Juho's face was still as carved stone, and it was clear she spoke her own words, rather than the councillors. We will not let that happen to us. The council erupted in argument, stealing whatever response I thought to give. What are they arguing about? I demanded. The council wants to stay isolated and keep all of you prisoner. Madame Juho cast me a look of pinched sympathy. The shamans are voting with them, for a change, but the progressives recently discovered more oil and natural gas in the Barents Sea and are petitioning for the right to hire outside drilling expertise. So they're voting against isolation, and the international unionists have been looking for an excuse to start throwing their weight around. International unionists? I asked faintly. Oh yes, they want a nation of circumpolar peoples, tying together any lands that fall within the Arctic Circle. Madame Juho smiled. We are more Arctic than we are Russian or Finnish or Laplander, are we not? What does a Muscovite truly know of winter? Oh my. And do you support them? If they succeed, then we will be at war with half the world. I am too practical to court war. Her eyes gleamed. For now, anyway. There was a sudden hubbub and a loud announcement. I heard some of the expeditioneers gasp and tremulous smiles on a few faces. What did the councillors say? I demanded. But Madame Juho's expression was blank. Passepartout, I am sorry. What did they say? You will be our guests until the council is ready to announce itself to the world. I demanded the chance to plead our case. For a moment, Madame Juho considered my words, then she shook her head. I have seen your tongue in action, Passepartout, she declared coldly. I have no doubt you might convince the council to do something against its interests. I will not help you. Not again. A set of guards began herding us back to our lodgings, and I threw myself on my pallet. This, it seemed, was to be the end of our great adventure. Uh-oh. That's not good. And also the cat is in front of the screen again. Like, oh, cat. Move. 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 No, the cat won't move. 1 second while I deal with the cat. Short break. We'll see if we can make him settle down. End to our adventure, eh? Can't have that. So we'll sleep, I guess. What can we do? Oh yeah, settle down, kitty. I awoke in the semi-dark to find my master shaking his shoulders. Monsieur Fogg, I exclaimed. He placed a finger to his lips and, at his unspoken command, I quietly gathered up our bags and followed him into the ice-packed streets. We are not staying here, Passepartout, he told me, and then pointed at a pair of dark airships to the west of the city. We have a wager to win, and that is our way out. Shall we commandeer the vessel? I gave him a somewhat bloodthirsty grin. We will remain hidden till we are away from Kausituk, and then, he paused delicately, adjust our plans to emergent circumstances. Ah, I said sagely, we'll improvise. Quite so, he replied, readily enough. Which airship should we aim for? I scrutinized them both. There was nothing to tell them apart. So, folks, choice time. Left, the one to the left or the one to the right? Which one do you think is worth it? The left one? Okay, that's one vote for left. And that might be the only vote. Now let's go with the left. Seems fine by me. The one on the left, I said, and felt immeasurably better for having made a decision, however arbitrary. Well then, said Monsieur Fogg, let us depart. So, did you make the right call, my friend? 'Cause, I think you did, actually. We have a new path. Yeah, the Winnipeg airship. Let's go. Basically, you have two destinations. Left and right, and I think the right one puts us further back. I think that goes to Russia or something. Anyways, Monsieur Fogg and I devised a simple plan to sneak aboard the airship. We wedged ourselves into a pair of supply crates and found ourselves carried aboard by willing hands. Once inside, I found us both a warm, if cramped, hiding place near the boiler rooms. I breathed a sigh of relief as we felt the airship lose its tethers and take to the skies. Traveling once more. Let's check the newspapers. Trinity Man Fogg attempts round-the-world adventure. Yeah, we know that. So now we're coming down from the North Pole. We were awoken by a series of loud rasps against the door of our hiding place. "Please come out," a voice called. "We know you're there." I attempted to mimic the noises of a groaning rivet joint. Perhaps to suggest this chamber was sealed for sound mechanical reasons, but the voice from outside merely became alarmed. "Are you ill?" it demanded. "Don't worry, you're safe with us." Monsieur Fogg took matters into his own hands and opened the door. A middle-aged Nanette's woman stood at the head of a small troop of guards. "I'm Captain Ain Vanuito," the woman grinned, her dark eyes glinting. "And you two are aboard my beautiful ship." "She is a wondrous vessel indeed," I agreed, reasoning that all captains like to hear their airships praised, even by stowaways. "Isn't she?" Captain Vanuito sighed. She's the most aerodynamic ship we've ever built." The lines of her hull are quite remarkable, I agreed, with a sickly smile. The captain stroked a bulkhead besottedly. "Oh, you're really too kind," she murmured. I summoned all my courage. And where, pray, is our destination? The captain cleared her throat. "We are heading to Winnipeg in Canada. I see no need to alter our course. Do you?" "Indeed not, Captain," I replied heartily, a grin spreading under my fine moustache. "Well then," the captain continued briskly, "let's get you a proper cabin, a good meal. It's roast seal tonight, and cook's an absolute marvel with seal." That night, I remembered to adjust the pocket watch, as we had crossed the international date line and gained ourselves a day. So it's day 35 and we are in North America. Keep that in mind. So I think we're going to make it this time around. The captain brought out a bottle of acrid spirits, our second night aboard, and handed it around. I took a sip and felt my throat catch fire. It felt as though my head had been shattered and hastily reconstructed, or reconstituted. My tongue was entirely blessedly numb. "Strong stuff," I managed to cough out, to scattered applause and hoots. "So," I asked the captain, after the atmosphere was loosened a little by drink and camaraderie. Let's see. "Why are you headed into Canada?" "We sell technology to the First Peoples in exchange for news and gossip," she replied easily. "The Council is cautious, but they understand the value of accurate information." "Ah, you trust the First Peoples to keep your secret?" The captain steepled her fingers. "It is better to cultivate allies now, rather than pretend that we can stay hidden forever, which is why I vote with the progressives." A brawl broke out between two of the aircrew, and the captain excused herself to go thump the perpetrators' heads together. And if you're wondering, the First Peoples have a different adventure entirely. But certainly there is one. As I mentioned before, there are so many paths to take and so many encounters, so... The outline of the coast of Hudson Bay loomed grey and barren through the observation windows. "We are here already," I exclaimed. One of the navigators preened. "Our ships are the fastest in the air," he boasted, cracking his knuckles. "Not that the rest of the world knows anything of it." We tethered smoothly and disembarked onto sweet, blessed land. Good luck, Passepartout, Captain Vanuito called in parting. We are in Canada. Let's see. I don't really need to sell anything, do I? Let's get the open road set, that's fine. Let's buy these things. It's okay. 2 crates is fine, right? Let's explore. If we can find some routes from Winnipeg. To Duluth and Chicago, to Winnisk, to Ottawa, to New York. I think we're gonna head towards Ottawa. We've already been down to Chicago. It all began when my master and I turned a street corner in Winnipeg and found ourselves directly in the path of a galloping horse with no rider to control it. I prepared to grab the reins as it passed. No doubt the horse had merely been frightened and would respond to a calming touch. As the stallion drew closer, I could see its eyes rolling wildly, lips pulled back to display yellowing teeth and foam dripping from the bridle. I flexed my hands and snatched for the reins, pulling them sharply as the leather cut into my hands. The horse barely even registered the motion. Indeed, it began to drag me down the street. I swung myself onto the horse's back. In a move worthy of a Parisian acrobat, the stallion seemed to shudder all over. It had no doubt dispatched its previous rider in some gruesome fashion, and was looking to be similarly rid of me. I dug my heels into its sides, trying to get the creature to stop, or at least slow. I swear it sped up in response. I turned a little in the saddle and saw the silhouette of my master growing smaller and smaller in the distance. I had, it appeared, been kidnapped by a horse. Monsieur Fogg would not be pleased. And I formulated several apologies over the course of my impromptu ride. The horse wore itself out an hour or so later and consented to let me slide off its back. I was stretching out my stiff muscles in a copse of trees when the ground began to tremble. A cloud of dust appeared on the horizon, slowly resolving itself into a posse of red-coated mounted police. Merde! Uh-oh, we're now a horse thief. I raised my hands and tried to look harmless. As they approached, the fellow in the lead drew up his own mount sharply and fixed me with his hard blue eyes. Stop right there, horse thief. Yeah, exactly. I tried to protest my innocence. But alas, thanks to my horse wrangling, I looked rather more the vagabond than the impeccable valet. In a trice, I found myself captured, bound, and hauled off to spend the night in Gaul. I was released the next day, thanks to Monsieur Fogg's explanation of the circumstances. The mounted police did not take very kindly to my suggestion that they incarcerate the demon horse for abduction. And the blue-eyed fellow in charge encouraged us both to leave Winnipeg at our earliest convenience. But to give the man his due, he did arrange with the local train companies to make that as easy as possible for us to do. Okay. Oh well. Of course, the track to Ottawa is closed. Departs tomorrow at 8. Negotiate. There we go. Embark now. Go. To Ottawa we go. We're almost out of money though.